Travel together. Terms and conditions apply.
The Right Hook.
With the new Mitsubishi Outlander. Complete peace of mind for you and your family. With the industry's highest 5-star safety rating and 7 airbags all round. MitsubishiMotors.ie.
All right, welcome back to The Right Hook. The texts continue, of course, on this programme's approach to terrorism. And Paul Leakslip doesn't want me to retire because he's afraid we're going to sleepwalk into a Muslim-controlled Ireland. Well, there's got to be more than me, and there is more than me, so don't worry about it, Paul Leakslip. George, to those who say there will never be an ISIS attack here, I recommend they watch last night's prime time about the links between the Klonsky Mosque and the Muslim Brotherhood, said Carol in Rathmines. Absolutely. And anybody who thinks it isn't going on is absolutely insane. I do want to go to an important topic, though, because Dublin City Council has a ban, essentially, on buskers and limiting the time and the repertoire and so on. I'm joined now by Bobby Coyne, who is Secretary of the Dublin City Buskers, and he's in the studio. I suppose, first of all, before we get to the City Council, Bobby, and welcome to the programme, we didn't really, most of us probably didn't realise the buskers were organised.
Well, we set up the organisation in February 2015. But just to point out one thing to you there, George, busking has been banned in 2 areas of Dublin since April 2015. Now, that ban is on amplification, acoustic performances, statues. So, currently in Dublin at the minute, there's 2 areas where you cannot busk.
Which are?
Which are around the GPO and 50% of Temple Bar.
Okay. But what about the issue that the issue is noise? That it's 80 decibels. I had Frank MacDonald in here. I mean, he was primarily concerned, I have to be fair, that the actual pubs were blasting out the music. His argument wasn't with buskers. But what about that? Surely there must be a control on the level of noise, must there not?
There is currently in place a decibel limit on performances, but it's very hard to know where the noise is coming from. Now, Frank MacDonald's main issue is noise in Temple Bar, and we feel like he's using the buskers as a hostage in the war on noise down there in Temple Bar.
Well, he talked primarily about the pubs, but let's get away from Frank MacDonald, because the city's a big city, and as you say, there are only 2 areas. I mean, that leaves a ton of places for you to play your music, does it not?
It would do, George, but the DCB recognises that the main issues with busking are volume, repetition, quality and length of stay. And what we have suggested to Dublin City Council to alleviate these issues is that there be a 1-hour performance time citywide, beginning on the hour and ending on the hour. An act must be able to perform for 60 minutes without repeating of a song. And we suggested that on the quality issue, that if they wanted to hold auditions, we put about a framework based on what they do over in Melbourne, which lays down clearly how people could be graded.
You see, busking's been around for a long time, so I mean, there's a tremendous tradition associated with this. Street performance might be a better word, because it's not just music, and street performers have been around, like with dogs who could stand on their hind legs or whatever. So therefore, it would be a shame if that great tradition were gone. When I first talked about this a number of years ago, one of the complaints was that the fella sang, Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly 150 times. Surely it's not beyond the wit of Dublin City Council to have a permit system where you come along and say, I am a busker and here's my performance and therefore give me a permit. Surely that's not beyond their wit.
Well, currently the system is in place. Is if you have €90, you can be a street performer. So it's just purely based on if you have the money to pay for a permit. There's no quality control. Now, we would have issues with the permit system.
But I thought they were trying to stop busking. Are they not? I thought they were trying to stop it. So why are they handing out permits for €90 if they're trying to stop it?
Well, they have stopped it in 2 areas in Dublin already.
Right, and you're afraid they'll stop it elsewhere, is it?
Well, it looks like it's going to head that way. We negotiated during the Street Performance Forum acoustic zones in Temple Bar, and Temple Bar Square to be left a place where amplified performances could take place. Now, at the 11th hour, the full council voted in an emergency motion banning amplifiers on Temple Bar Square, and that's what has the Dublin City buskers up in arms. We're not happy with this ban on the square, and we're hoping that at the July 25th monthly meeting of the council that they will rescind this ban and hold up the agreements that they made to us during the street performance.
Now, all right, when you talk about buskers, and for instance numbers like 400 are being bandied about, are these, and I think street performance is a better word as it happens, because they may not be musicians. If I was going to be in the middle of Grafton Street, I wouldn't be singing because I haven't a voice. So I'd be reciting, Emmett's speech from the dock, okay? So it could be any kind of performance that is entertainment. So therefore, the 400 we talk about, are they professional performers in which they earn their livelihood by performing in the street?
A large number of our members are professional buskers, but then you have other people who do it as a kind of a recreational activity at the weekend. Our members range in ages from 14, 15 up to 60 and 70 years of age. So yes. we have a broad span of different nationalities, different cultures, different styles of music, blues, country, rock and roll. There's comedians and magicians that come out doing their thing. Well,
I remember many times in Leicester Square, there were two guys, they're long dead now, I'm sure, but they were doing it for decades. They were tap dancers, and they were tap dancing in Leicester Square. But that was part of the great tradition of London and the idea of street performance. I was just wondering, in December, when we have all these carol singers, will they be under the same kind of legislation?
Charities and religious organisations are exempt from the bylaws. But if you
just have to set yourself up as a charity.
Well, that could be, the Church of Noise could be arranged very easily. But just bringing you back there, you mentioned Leicester and London. In the UK, since 2012, they've rescinded the bylaws and street performance laws that they introduced. The permit system and all that was done away with. Instead, a simple code of conduct, a couple of pages, was developed by the buskers, London City Council and the Metropolitan Police over there, along with a buskers representative organisation called streetslive.org. Now, what they did there was they put together a voluntary code of practice, and we actually got Dublin City Council to agree to adopt page 14 of this document, which is a clear method of resolving issues with street performance. Now, the difference here is that on page 14, it lays down the stages that things go to if there's a complaint. So if I'm playing outside your house, George, you come out and talk to me. If it's not resolved, the local city council intervene. If there's still an issue, the busking community, the peers of the guy who's performing there, intervene. If nothing can be done at that stage, it's where you go for actual enforcement. Now, we would see the current bylaws that are in place in Dublin as not working. The residents aren't happy, the businesses aren't happy, and the buskers aren't happy. So there's something wrong. There's a poor creep of poor legislation happening currently in Dublin. And quite frankly, the Dublin City buskers have had enough of it. We've engaged with the council at every stage, and they will not listen to what we have to say.
But we're not sure that Dublin City Council has the best interests of the city at heart, given at the moment they're bringing in draconian speed limits, for instance. I mean, there's no certainty, in fact, that these people sitting in Dublin City Council have the best interests at heart. I mean, what you really need is you need somebody who, when I say represent you, like cycling has people like Councillor Cough. So cycling gets a good deal because there's somebody taking it serious. I don't know anybody, you may correct me, but I don't know anybody who's out there beating a drum for buskers.
It's not really a big issue in the city. There's other issues out there at the moment in Dublin, and I think Dublin City Council should maybe focus more of its time and money on the real issues. But just to bring up one thing there, We're talking about an arts SPC in Dublin City Council that agreed to a ban on uilleann pipes in Temple Bar. Now, how can any arts committee in Ireland agree to a ban on our national instrument without even discussing it? It got put in there to the full council meeting where they had to rescind it. So we're dealing with people here who quite simply can't even read the reports that are in front of them.
All right. Bobby Coyne, Secretary of Dublin City Buskers. I think it's appalling, I must say. I mean, I'm not talking about some fella with a paper cup blowing a harmonica. We're talking about people who are talented, and I think it's City Council. But as I said before, I despair of this City Council, I must say.
Can I just say there, George,
Quickly,
before
please,
I go, that we have a hotline. It's on our website if you want to make a complaint about any aspect of busking. If you go to dublincitybuskers.com, there's a complaint section there for you.
All right, Bobby Coyne, thanks for joining me.
The Right Hook with the new Mitsubishi Outlander. With leading fuel efficiency and performance from its powerful 2.2-litre diesel engine. MitsubishiMotors.ie